Okay. All right, let me call to order the Board of Selectmen special meeting for February 26, 2012. Tom Kennefick, a member of the Board of Selectmen, it will be a little late, but he will be here. He told us to start in his absence. So on the agenda, the first item is to review the department budget request for 2014. I thought before we do that maybe Tony would give us an overview where we are.
Sure. In your green binder, you have a series of documents. First of which is our summary, and I wanted to review that with you. The requested column, which is this third column in, is where all the requests that come in. You can see each department there, and that was a result of a 35.76 mill rate, which was a 6% increase. Then in the fourth column is the Board of Selectmen recommended, which is what we'll be working on this evening. There are some adjustments that we are recommending, which have been done already in this group. So you'll see some of the items have changed, some haven't. And so the document you have in front of you will represent some of those recommended changes that we had gone through. So that results in a 2.55% increase in the budget and a 2.49% mill rate increase.
So Tony and I want to throw each one of these requested items and then present it to you tonight for your approval or disapproval, a series of recommendations, and we can go through each one of them and
sure,
discuss them as you see fit. So with that in mind, why don't we start with the capital budget?
Yep.
And it's in the back of your packet. And starting with the Board of Education. And the changes we've made in that request are, we put out till next year the grounds and landscaping and the kitchen and cafeteria equipment. And asphalt and concrete replacement.
That's that is we actually applied for a steep grant for that particular project, and so that's what you can see. The steep grant's for $500,000, and the total request is $570,162. So we have the $500,000 in year one is essentially the 303, and then most of the $266,962. So in essence, there's $70,000 that would be part of this project that would be tax dollars, and that we put in 2015. Hopefully
Tell me, sorry, the 570. I'm looking at 303,200. Am I
right.
looking at the wrong line?
Yep, no, that's correct. And then the year two, it's 266,962.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so if you add them together, it's 570 way on the right there. Follow to the right. Of the 570,162, 500,000 is a grant that has been applied for,
But not received.
not received.
Okay.
So that's a wild card. If in fact the grant is not awarded, then there's no funds for this project in year one.
And if we do get the grant, the 70,000
is actually in 2015.
2015.
Right.
And when will you know about that grant? In June?
Well, we applied for it in June. The year before, when we applied for the police station, it was announced in December. It is now February, and we haven't heard anything. So I'm not sure if you've heard of any steep news.
I'm pretty sure the bond commission funded the program.
Okay.
So now it's up to OPM.
OPM has to then announce all the awards, which I haven't heard. So.
Okay, any questions?
The kitchen and the cafeteria equipment, we think it'll last, or whatever those needs were. They can be put on for a year, we think?
That's our hope, yes.
Keeping in mind that during this this calendar year, there will be a referendum on the building, the Beach Road School building upgrade. There'll be a number of, if that's approved, a number of upgrades to the facility there at the school. So we have to keep this all in perspective of the total amount of what we're doing in 1 year. So,
Sorry, what does technology include?
I believe it's in here. Technology includes
I think it's replacement of,
It's computers.
computers essentially. But
it's an ongoing program, it's been going on now for 7 or 8 years.
Those smart boards and all that fun stuff that I wish I had when I was growing up.
they're going to be
I just
replacing student computers and faculty mobile computers and office computers and a classroom projector replacement and infrastructure upgrades, which is essentially switching. So those are all of the requests in their capital budget here, which totals $95,000. Each one is, most of it, half of it's student computers is $50,000. The rest of it's broken down into those other categories.
And if I remember right, part of it was a pilot program to move from hardwired PCs to some of the mobile devices, even for
Faculty mobile computers, yeah.
Well, no, but even for, I think,
Oh, for
a pilot
students.
program for students.
Oh, it does say that here, right? Yep.
Okay. Nothing on open space there. Next is building maintenance.
I think there's more. We need more information on the library issue, which is why.
That's number 2, to modify the existing HUVAC system in the library. We
This
put that out
this
for
figure
you.
was a placeholder. as I
Correct.
recall.
Yeah.
Right.
We just don't know if that's an accurate figure.
Correct. Right.
Okay.
On building and maintenance, was it possible that when Joe Lizzie spoke on that, he did he speak on building maintenance or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Is there stuff in building maintenance that has to do with Country Club Woodbridge or no?
No.
No.
This is all town buildings except for the country club. The country club would be later on here. It's
Okay.
actually the next page.
Next page, right.
I had a question about the roof for town hall. I know there has been some discussion over time of putting the heaters
Right.
just above the gutters.
We put some
We did
above the town clerk's office.
And this, I guess this would be roofing tile replacement, so a more conventional thing. But,
Right.
I don't know how old the existing roof is. Same kind of thing. We're confident that we can get another year out of what's there.
We did some replacement on the area that was immediate need this past year. So we're anticipating that should help us get through the next year or two to be able to put this out of here. Yeah.
Okay. All right, next, Country Club of Woodbridge. You see there are no requests for capital improvements for this year. Except for the pump house upgrades, excuse me. And $10,000.
Right, that's the course portion of it, and we, as you know, funded that.
It's already been done.
Right, so that was removed.
Was that what caused the when we had the problem with the leak in the water or no?
No, this was just a equipment replacement. That's a pipe.
Okay, next is EMS, and we put out this chest compression system for a year, $15,000. That, I think, was thought to be maybe be placed at the country club.
That's
Is that-
no, that's in
Medic
That's-
44.
that's for the car.
Oh, okay.
But the one that's going to the country club is one of those you picked
That's in the
up.
office.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I didn't follow that. Where's this going?
This has just been placed out another year.
Oh, okay.
But when it comes, it's going into Medic 44, the vehicle.
Oh, I see.
Okay, and then the fire commission.
I'm happy to see that we were that we have plans anyway to replace the ladder truck reserve. At last month's, or
Right, that was
the
from the
regular
meeting, right.
earlier this month.
Right.
We, transferred it.
Okay, you wanna go through those?
Yeah, sure. So there's currently a committee that's researching the radio system, and which Joe's the chair. So at such time as when the committee has a report, then we can, act on the funding for that, the radio. At this point, there was no report from that committee, so we weren't sure really what was required or was being requested for that project. So to just put 100,000 in there wasn't really something that made sense until we had a complete report.
Yeah.
There's a portion of it in the police
I
also.
remember the discussion.
Yeah.
And could I ask about the skid steer?
Sure.
Thoughts on that?
It's just an expenditure that I think we should incur this year. We
Okay.
funded most of their
Right,
requests.
oh, I agree. Okay.
Okay, so next is the library. And, the only change we made there was for new carpeting for the children's library.
Right. Which was $3,500, which was eliminated. And I actually discussed this with the director, and that was something that he felt comfortable with.
Most of the main floor, the new carpeting on the main
Why?
floor is in by now.
Yeah, so all the carpeting, the main floor, and the stairwell, and the wood, the room, not the wood, the meeting room. It's all been completed. I don't know if anyone's seen it.
Oh, yeah, it looks good to me.
Yeah.
Okay, and parks.
In parks, we pushed up the replacement of the truck. It actually incurred some significant damage this past storm, and so it's not going to be able to wait another year for its replacement. So you can see that that's been pushed up to 2014. We did receive a grant. We originally had a grant for irrigation at West River. If you recall, that was a grant that was $25,000, and so there was some funds that were needed to complete the project. We were able to get that scope of that grant changed to clay for those ball fields. So that took care of two items. First of all, it was eliminated the need for the match for the $60,000 request, and second, eliminated the need for the budget for clay. So it took care of both items, and those grant funds are currently all set. So as soon as the weather breaks, Adam can use those funds to replace the clay. So that took care of those two issues. And in terms of the walking trail relocation, Adam had some suggestions on how to resolve that issue within his operating budget without having to spend any capital dollars, in terms of some signage and some different ideas that he thought would be helpful.
Very good.
So we were able to reduce that significantly.
Okay. Police.
The change to the police was similar to the fire department, which is the radio upgrade. So we had more information on that.
Okay. Pool and gym, we kept that $5,000 for pool improvements and repairs.
Right.
Public Works.
In Public Works, we have we are currently in the process of replacing the Mary Avenue Bridge, and so the Bridge and Waterways Reserve was something we didn't think we needed to fund at this point. That's a pretty large project, which is within budget, actually, so far, and so
It's fully funded.
Fully funded, right? And so that was reduced. And the equipment replacement, we did fund the truck replacement, which was number 2, and the road reconstruction reserve, which is number 4. So we thought maybe that the equipment replacement reserve, we do have some funds remaining to spend and are in the process of replacing, building a new facility. So I thought that's something that could wait a year.
What does road construction reserve include?
That includes the either reclamation or overlay of the townwide road program, which is presented to this Board of Selectmen usually in the spring for roads, which roads are going to be completed. And we use our LoCIP grant to fund a portion of that, which is $65,000, and the rest is out of the operating budget. So that's, you see there's a little footnote there at the bottom. That it's our usual practice.
Recreation?
We put out the online registration until next year. That was just sort of something we thought maybe could wait a year, but kept the vestibule.
Okay. Any questions about capital budget? All right. We'll go on to the operating budget. Beginning with the Board of Selectmen. No changes to that budget. Any questions about that? Probate court. No changes to that budget. That's what we're assessed by statute as Woodbridge's share. Based on the grand list, I believe it is. Is that right?
Correct. Yep. Grand list.
Town clerk. No changes to that budget. Registrar of voters. No
They
changes.
did a good job.
They did. Going down to
I watched it on television and I
29%.
said, wow, they did a very good job. Can't argue with that.
Government access television. No change to that budget. General administration. No change to that budget. Now
I want to make a comment on the natural gas. We're currently working on getting some final figures on that, so some of these are estimates. Hopeful by the time we get to the Board of Finance, we should have those accurate figures. So here you'll see the oil heating was a budget of $10,000, and the natural gas is at $7,500. So a reduction there. These are based on some preliminary information that we have, but we're trying to get those a little more solid.
Yeah, that gives me a chance just to say that, because that same dynamic plays out in several other departments.
It does, right? Correct.
And just in my head, in my numbers, it's somewhere upwards of $20,000, and I think that gives me a chance to compliment Ed and Joe and Tony, all of you for making those arrangements with Southern Connecticut Gas and allowing for those savings.
Yeah, so there may be some adjustments on insurance liability, natural
Right.
gas,
Insurance liability also, we're still
tires, oil and gas, right?
right.
Some of those are reflected, they've been changes, but others have not yet, but they will be.
Correct.
Information systems, no changes. Okay. Finance department, no changes. Tax collector, no changes.
There's a minor change there to buybacks.
Buybacks,
Yeah.
oh, so I'm sorry, yep. Tax assessor, again, the only change there is on the buyback sick days, a minor change. Board of Tax Review, no change, no increase.
No increase.
Board of Finance, no change. Town Plan and Zoning. Now, we made a change on this general professional services. You can see it was requested of $50,000. We put a placeholder in there for $10,000. We need more information about it, how much that's actually going to cost, and it's over a 2-year period to do this, do the update of the town plan of development. So we need further information about how much that's going to cost us. But that'll be enough to at least start the process. I mean, we can always amend that.
So you're proposing 10 as
10.
opposed to 50?
That 50 was a request for 50 per year.
Right. And I know, I think they are exploring alternatives, ways of addressing that update. So we'll have further information from TP&Z about that. That's the only change there, I believe, right?
There's a small change to buyback.
Buyback 60.
You'll start to common thread throughout here. You'll notice.
Okay, Zoning Board of Appeals, no change. The Center,
This is another oil, heating, gas.
and the natural gas here was reduced.
Right.
Yeah, to 45,000. Okay. Former fire station,
Same thing here.
yeah, no change.
There's a gas.
Oh yes, I'm sorry, natural gas is down by
Right.
2,500. Country Club of Woodbridge. No change.
That was just based on the budget they submitted,
Correct.
right?
Submitted, right?
Correct, yes.
Police Department.
There's a few changes here, yeah.
Want to go through those?
Sure. There are, first significant change is in overtime, which we used a historical amount that we've used historically for their budget, and not based on their actuals. Actuals for 13 and for 12 are from storms and have been funded in alternate methods, through alternate means, mostly through FEMA.
So these are all overtimes, or?
Pardon?
All
Just
of-
the, no, just the,
Police,
mainly
sworn.
the police officer,
Just the-
sworn officer one. See, it's at one,
Just 5430?
correct, 5430. So, we use more the historical figure, which is at 55,000. And, historically, we've been able to fund any overtime issues with either a storm event, or if there's been a vacancy, or other issues, workers' comp issues in the salary line. Historically has funded overtimes. Typically they're related. If there's a vacancy, there may be a little more overtime, that sort of thing. There's another change to holiday pay, which I had, if you recall at the time of the presentation, I went back and I checked the holiday pay, the longevity, college incentives, and I just double checked some of those, and I found there was a little bit in college incentives, which I corrected, and there was an error in the holiday pay calculation, which I also fixed, which is why it's at 107, which is where it should be. It should be reflective of a salary increase, and not a big increase, because you get the same number of holidays. So.
So holiday pay and college incentives have been corrected.
Correct, right. Let's see if there's some others.
Yeah, this is minor change in office supplies, I guess.
Right, repair, maintenance of buildings. There's some minor changes throughout.
Technical, 55,120. Tires, oil and gas, 55,145.
Right. That's another one I checked against current pricing.
Did you mention deputy chief?
Oh, no, did I miss that one? That was these were from increases that were given earlier in the fiscal year. So they didn't put them in their request. It's a timing issue where they were missed.
When they did the budget, they hadn't been
Right.
given yet.
This was probably in, because they did the budget December, maybe?
Yep.
November, December.
And then capital machinery reduced.
Right.
So can I ask a question? The police
Sure.
chief and the deputy police chief, that's not actually a 5% increase because they got a mid-year raise.
Correct.
So it's really, they just get that, but that gets added on, that's why you get the 5%,
Correct.
but it's really a 2.5%.
Correct,
Okay.
right. But because it was a mid-year,
Right.
the
Yeah,
cost of
that-
living
that
is the
happens
same
with
as
a couple
everyone
others
else.
as well, but I saw,
Right.
but I just wanted to make it clear we're not, adding on another 5 to
That's
the
correct.
raise they got mid-year. Okay.
Correct, you're correct.
Yeah.
Okay?
Happens in, I think, fire as well.
Right.
You'll see it. It looks bad, but it's not.
Okay, so next we get to the fire commission. And there's some changes here.
Let's see. Some minor changes to data processing and testing and building repairs, just some minor changes, a couple thousand in each. Nothing major. All these are the same.
I would, are we still on fire commission?
Yep. That's about it, yeah.
I have spoken privately, I guess, with a few of us, and I have this idea that I'd like the town to take this opportunity to revise the compensation for the fire marshal position. And it's not, it's not a lot of money by my calculations. It would be about $12,000 that the town would save, but if we scale that position back to 20 hours where it was, I was part of the process that increased it to 28, but I think the town has learned that the work can be done in 20 and it's $12,000, and I thought I'd bring that up for discussion.
I think that's, the hours that have been approved to date are 28 hours, is that correct?
Right.
28?
28.
Yeah, I don't know how you,
What
How
was
you
the
figure
job
that?
advertised at? When we said, it's gone out and I believe they're in the process of
We
choosing
didn't
someone.
They
really
are.
advertise the,
Okay,
because we weren't really sure.
okay.
But it was a part-time job,
Mhm.
But it was
Okay.
indicated that it would be around 28.
28
That
hours.
is correct.
Yeah,
No
Okay.
benefits.
right.
No benefits, okay.
This is why the ceiling is 28.
Right,
So, and the pay for that 28 hours in the last year's budget was what?
And the current year budget is $28.55 an hour.
So I think, and I understand that the fire commission is going to be meeting on, is it Wednesday?
Wednesday, tomorrow
Right?
night, right. at
To
6.
receive a recommendation or to further pursue the appointment of a full-time fire marshal, or a fire marshal to assume a part-time duty, but a permanent fire marshal. So I think in that process, whoever that person may be, we're going to have to find out exactly how many hours this does take before we start reducing the hours. It was determined back several years ago that it was 28 hours was the appropriate number. I don't know whether that's true or not. I don't know if we really know that yet. So I think this err on the side of caution, that we should stay with 28 hours until we can develop some information that it should be less than that, if in fact that's the case. Because I don't know how we reach any other number at this point.
When we did raise it to 28, I was on the commission at the time, it was done because it was determined that not everything was getting done at 20 hours. I don't know what happened after I left the commission, and I'm not sure we do know, but, you know, going forward, I think keeping it at 28 right now until we have more information is a good idea. Have you spoken with the commission about it at all, or?
No.
Okay. I heard you say you
No,
talked to
just
some
when I,
folks,
you
so
know,
I just.
When I first started on the Board of Finance, it was
Right.
20 hours. I was part of the process that increased it from 20 to 28, and I thought that was a good idea at the time
Mhm.
because it seemed that things weren't getting done. It seems that this would be an opportunity to scale it back and reassess. That's all. I thought maybe the town should take advantage of this transition period, but
Well, that may turn out to be the case, but I don't know if we can do that now,
I think we
not
need more
knowing
data going
Catch up
forward.
right now.
what. Yeah, and I'm
Right.
sure there's some catch-up work to be done here. So initially, there's going to be work to be done. We know that.
Yeah.
But there has been 20 hours worth of work being done for the past 3 years, right?
2 years.
I'm not sure everything was done in those 20 hours.
No, I hear you, but I don't know. I actually
I don't know,
agree
and
with
I
Lawrence
can't. I
that
have no
20
way
should
of
be the
knowing.
base.
You know, there's no data, unfortunately.
I think it's kind of late to be,
Right.
I don't, well, I mean, I agree that maybe that should have been the number at the beginning, but I'm not sure that I'm not confident that all the work that should have been done was done. So at 20 hours, I'm not sure that we were getting what we should have been getting. So I think the intent was to take it to 28, the fact that it wasn't actually worked to 28. But I think it's going to take some time to figure that out once we get the new fire marshal in. Although with the interim has been pretty busy apparently. So
He's just doing the bare minimum, the
and
stuff
if
that
they're
has to
looking-
get done
and if they're
to
looking
go
to
forward.
make a recommendation
Each
tomorrow
week.
night, I think the candidates have been, I think they've been led to believe it's going to be 28. So I think at this point to come back and say you're losing 8 hours would be. Plus, I'm not sure that's our recommendation anyway. Right? I mean, we'd have, unless we say we're not going to pay more than that, but I think it would probably have to be something we'd have to bring before the fire commission before we change it here.
I think once that person is hired, then they can do an analysis of what's using the new fire marshal as a basis to determine how much hours per week should be devoted to this.
I agree.
I don't disagree with you, Lawrence. We should examine that, but I don't know whether we can make that reduction at this point. That's all. Okay, the other changes.
Let's see. I think that's it. There's some minor changes.
Changes in data processing, you can see.
Right.
Repair and maintenance testing.
Building repairs.
Building repairs,
Right.
rental equipment.
Is the reduction data processing because we're leveraging, or is that just a reduction?
It's the projected budget is at 13. Last year's budget is at 13. We feel comfortable keeping it at 13.
Next is medical services, and there are any changes there? District animal control. No changes. That's Woodbridge's share, right?
Correct. It's Woodbridge's share of the entire piece. Right?
Building department. No changes.
Let's see this.
All right. Public Works.
There's a couple changes here. One is buyback. There's a small change to buyback sick. There's a actual slight increase to gas because the rate he used was too low. So that was increased to 45. And road maintenance.
That's
was-
gasoline.
Gasoline, correct. And diesel. Actually, it's mostly diesel. Should say gas and diesel because it's mostly diesel they use. And road maintenance, which is more like crack sealing, or if there's a pipe that collapses, or there's more of ongoing maintenance to existing roads as opposed to repaving them. That's $75,000.
It's patches and.
Patches, right? Cold patch or
Potholes getting
potholes.
filled.
Okay. Waste management. Buyback sick.
That was it. Yeah.
That's it.
It's there.
Remediation, you can see that budget is being reduced. No changes in that.
Do you have any idea how much longer, or just have to wait every year?
Just have
they
to
make
wait
an
until it's
evaluation
clear.
of the
Yeah,
road?
correct. Every year we get a written evaluation, right?
I think this past year they removed 2 wells.
Yeah.
Mhm,
2
yeah.
testing wells.
Yeah.
So we're down from a budget of 2012 of 33,000 now to 5,500.
It should be over 100,000.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
It was.
Building maintenance,
Let's see.
buyback sick.
Right. That's it.
I think that's it.
Actually,
There's
budget
On
was
building
done.
maintenance, on the capital, I think I meant that question for this operating, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I meant, but,
There's
You know.
there's no expenses in this budget.
for example, the 50,000, that's 53,530.
Right, those are all town buildings.
Okay.
There are no country club expenses. We send all the invoices. If there may be some in-kind time occasionally here or there to help out.
I was only asking because they were
but-
crediting Joe for helping out.
Yeah, because he'll do what'll happen is maybe occasionally he'll help with something or give some advice or, in-kind time type of stuff while he's on staff. But if there's a bill or an invoice, it goes to them and they pay it out of theirs. We're very careful to separate the two so we get an accurate representation.
Okay. Human services, changing buyback sick days. I think that's it, right?
And we kept the
Yeah.
team in the regional
We did.
services, which it's very much appreciated. Thank you.
And recreation department. Were there any changes?
$1,000 in there.
Conferences.
All right, yeah, that's it.
That's right, yeah. Conferences were reduced to 1,000, okay. Okay, pool and gym expense. Buyback sick.
Okay, this one we did make a change.
Parks department.
We did. We made a change. We removed the overtime and the rental, porta potty rental, related to the tournaments. So that would be overtime regular 50410. It's based on our conversation at the last meeting. And rentals of equipment.
Does the town have a commitment from the baseball league to
We have to
make the difference?
not at the moment.
I think you have to address that in terms of, some of this is related to the tournament that's put
Right.
on. So in terms of what the charge is to participate in the tournament, cost that the town incurs for that has to be worked out.
Well, I remember at the presentation, there seemed to be consensus that it should be borne by the tournament host.
Right. So we'll have that discussion with them. Okay, Thomas Darling House. No change.
I didn't say it before, but I was happy to see the, was it $14,000 for the
Yep,
capital?
14, yep.
Right. Okay, library.
Let's see. No.
No change?
No.
Conservation Commission. No change. Inland wetlands, buyback 6.
Yep.
That's it. Employee fringe benefits.
Has changed to health insurance. It's a constantly, we're constantly refining that number as we work towards renewal, and that was dropped to a 6% increase. So you'll see some changes are based on some coverage changes, which is why some are lower than 6, some are higher than 6. But that's where we are currently.
And we're maintaining our OPEB contribution at $375,000.
Right, and there are some additional costs to health insurance this year that are related to new regulation that we are incurring. So while our actual increase may be closer to 2 or 3%, there's another anywhere between 2 to 4% on additional regulation, additional that we have to. They're increasing our. It's increasing our healthcare cost.
Debt service. It's pretty much cast in stone.
Yeah, that's right. Not much you can do about that.
But it's going down this year by 7.35%.
Right.
And then the Woodbridge Board of Education budget, which came in at a 0.73% increase. We made no change to that. And then the Amity Regional School District.
It's reduced a little. That's our latest figure that we received from Amity, which is 13,072,640. We keep regular communication with them, and as that figure changes, we update our schedules.
Is that still a work in progress?
As far as I know.
Yeah, okay. And of course, there'll be a referendum on that, or?
Yeah, do we have a rough idea what the 4.8%, is it due to a lot of things, or one particular thing, or health insurance, or?
Typically, he'll do it. Dr. Brady does a presentation.
It will be probably in April.
Usually in March or April.
To
us.
Oh, good.
Right here.
Okay,
To
right,
us,
so
yeah.
we'll
You can answer
have a
all
better
those
idea.
questions.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, so this is just again,
And Woodbridge's share is going up. We have more students than we did last year. Orange will be glad to hear that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think the latest figure, the latest figure on the district budget is significantly less than this.
It is,
Yeah.
correct, yeah.
And then transfers from the general fund.
Yeah, this is the capital budget that we reviewed. So it went from 2.6 to 1.4.
Okay. So, here we are. Any questions? If not, we'll need some motions, right? So the first of which would be to approve the capital budget as recommended. We went through here this evening. So I'd entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
second.
Okay, any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next is to approve the operating budget as proposed.
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll second it. Okay, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Any other motions?
Nope.
That's it? Okay. So,
Very good job.
that's it. So, let me just say before we move to adjourn that our regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen will be next Wednesday, a week from Wednesday, March 6th. And so, look forward to seeing you all then. And with that, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So,
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.